Good morning, dear students. Let us begin with the stem cell part 2. So, now we are going to consider the classification of stem cell based on its sources. Based on its sources, the stem cells can be classified into two types. The embryonic stem cells, as its name indicates, embryonic. So, origin, that is source of this stem cell, is going to be a embryo. And then second type is the adult stem cells, which is also called as the somatic stem cells. So based on the sources, one is embryonic stem cell and second one is the adult stem cell. In the intense research, it was proved that third type of stem cell, which is called as induced pluripotent stem cell, was derived by a Japanese scientist, which is included here as a type 3 that we are going to see, right? So embryonic stem cells, here in this slide, let me show you. In the slide here you can see this is a sperm cell and this is the egg cell. This is the process of fertilization which produces a diploid zygote. Now this diploid zygote gets into the developmental process called as a cleavage, where this single cell zygote will divide to produce cells. Here you can see this single cell zygote has increased the cells here, and then in usually 3 to 5 days after fertilization, it produces a developmental stage called as a blastula. This is a blastula, and the cells consisting of blastula is called as a blastocyst. So this is a blastocyst. This is a central hollow cavity called as blastocell, and this is the inner cell mass. Nearly up to 15 to 20 cells are there, and those cells are called as inner cell mass, and this inner cell mass are nothing but a stem cells. As it is derived from the embryo, we classify it as a embryonic stem cells, right? So this is an embryonic stem cell. What one has to do to isolate and culture the embryonic stem cell is one has to take out this human embryo. Important thing, again you should note here is we are talking about a human embryo. We are trying to isolate a stem cells from human embryo, and this is that blastula, this is that inner cell mass which is a embryonic stem cell. We isolate this stem cells and then we culture it into the media, and then we grow it and we expose those cells. We try to differentiate those cells. Important thing here, again, whenever we put the cells into the media, we have to take intense care that cell must not be differentiated, because that is the very characteristics of stem cell, the blank cell, undifferentiated cell. Once the cell is getting differentiated, then it is no more a stem cell. So we have to take all the care that while culturing the stem cells, it should remain as undifferentiated cell. Now we culture those stem cells, and then we put, or we can apply these stem cells based on the therapy, right? So this is a embryonic stem cell. ICM, that ICM is nothing but an inner cell mass. So isolation of ICM. Next is adult stem cells. Here you can see in this diagram, you can see the adult stem cells, which is also called as somatic stem cells. It is also residing in the brain, in the heart, in the liver, and in the most predominant source is the bone marrow, right? So it is there in the brain, heart, liver, and the bone marrow. Although the concentration is very, very less, right? And so here the example given is hematopoietic stem cells. So hematopoietic, the stem cells which resides in bone marrow is responsible for the cells of the immune system and the RBCs, the dendritic cells, the platelet cells, all those cells are derived from this embryonic adult stem cell, more specifically the hematopoietic stem cell, which resides in the bone marrow. So this is second type adult stem cell. Now, third type of stem cell is induced pluripotent stem cell. This is the fantastic discovery done by a Japanese scientist. What the scientist did is he has taken the skin cells. Here you can see this is the skin cells. He has taken the adult skin cell, the skin cell which is taken out from the adult. This skin cell, he induced some factors, and that skin cell, adult skin cell, has got a characteristics of a stem cells. More importantly, here I am talking about a morphological and plasticity, morphological characteristics with plasticity. And so they have classified these stem cells as a induced one, induced pluripotent stem cells. So what they did, they have taken the adult cell, they have taken a differentiated, the cell which is already differentiated, the skin cell, and then they have induced some transcription factors into it. This transcription factor, previously they thought it was a 24 transcription factors, and later on they refined this 24 transcription factors into the 4 transcription factors. So these 4 transcription factors, when put it into the adult cell, that adult cell gets the characteristics of a stem cell. And now they have converted in this experiment, in the construction of an induced pluripotent stem cell, they have converted the skin cells into induced pluripotent stem cells, and this induced pluripotent stem cell is further differentiated under experiment into the beta cells of islets of Langerhans of pancreas. Now we all know the pancreas is having alpha cell and beta cell, and beta cells is responsible for synthesis of a hormone called as insulin, and this hormone, when secreted, it reduces the blood glucose. So it is a pathological condition in the diabetes where some beta cells is not producing the beta cells, it is damaged by some reason, or it is non-functional, and so it is not producing the insulin. Because insulin is not produced, which results in a higher blood sugar level. And so by this process, they have constructed a beta cells, and these beta cells can produce the insulin which can treat the diabetes. So that is this induced pluripotent stem cells, which is derived usually from the adult cell and has characteristics of the stem cell and has ability to get converted into the cell which is required. So this is the classification of stem cell based on the sources. Now isolation of stem cell. So here isolation, the embryonic stem cell, isolation of embryonic stem cell, let's talk about it. So this isolation, as its name is, embryonic stem cell. So we have to isolate these ICMs. Embryonic stem cell is nothing but ICM. We have to isolate this embryonic stem cell. We have to isolate this ICM. So for that, what one has to do is again the same process that we have seen. The sperm is there. The sperm will fertilize the egg, and it will produce a diploid zygote, right? So now this is a diploid zygote. Now this diploid zygote is having single large nucleus. This diploid zygote undergoes a process of a cleavage, which is a developmental process. So what happens in cleavage? The number of cells, although volume increases very less amount, but number of cells increases very fast. So here you can see this diploid zygote divides and it produces, although these two cells are there because of this cleavage, but it is not separate. Then in the next step, it will, here in the next step you can see the same two cell will undergo again a division to produce the 4 cells. The volume is not increased that speedy as compared to the cell division. So what is my point here? the sperm and egg produces the fertilization. This is a diploid zygote. Diploid zygote divides by the process of cleavage. Now we are talking about human beings. So initially, as we have already discussed, to 4 to 5 days post fertilization. So once the fertilization is done, from that point 4 to 5 days you will have this kind of developmental stage. We called it as a blastula, right? This blastula is made up of cells called as blastocyst. Look at this. This is the blastocyst. This blastula is having central cavity and it is called as blastocell. And these cells, which is shown in the red color nucleus, is the ICM, inner cell mass. So in order to isolate it, what one has to do, one has to harvest the human embryo. The point you should note here is we are talking about human embryo. We are talking about harvesting human embryo. Then we have to cut this part of human embryo so that the pipette which is having suction pressure, this pipette can be inserted inside that embryo, and because of this suction pressure it will aspire this ICM cells. Once those ICM cell is aspired using the suction pressure from that pipette, it is put into the media and this cell will grow, and then you can use this cell. But here we are talking about a human embryo. So what is the application of stem cell? The stem cell can be used to cure a particular disease, is probably used to cure a particular disease. But then to cure that particular disease, here you have to sacrifice a human embryo. And that is the unethical thing. That is the reason why Federal Reserve has stopped or banned the funding on the embryonic stem cells. That is the one very big issue, ethical issue. You have to sacrifice the human embryo, which is unethical. And besides this, even somehow you isolate the stem cells, ICM, the cells of ICM, and you culture it, they may not adapt to the cultural media and rarely survives. Although, what number of cells we can harvest from one embryo? It is 10 to 20 cells. So you have 10 to 20 cells, and this is the artificial media. Media means, media is a solution which is providing all the nutrient which is required for cell to develop. So that media is providing amino acids. That media is producing source of carbohydrates like glucose or fructose. That media is producing the balanced salt solution. The salt solution provides the microfactors, the cofactors which is required for the enzyme to work appropriately. It maintains the osmotic stability. Besides this, it provides the growth factors. So that media is a liquid which is having the source of amino acids, it is having the source of carbohydrate, then it is having this balanced salt solution, so that the osmotic balance and micronutrient which is required for the cell to develop. Besides this, the media is also providing growth factor which provides signaling molecule to those cells to divide. Okay, so all this is there in the media, and all this assist cell to divide. But then this is the natural where it grows, and this is the artificial. And then most of the time what happens when you isolate the cell from its natural microenvironment into the artificial microenvironment, they are not able to adapt it, and that is the reason the cell isolated by this procedure rarely survives, right? And that is the big drawback. So here the two important thing, one is the ethical one, and second is the survival rate. This is the limiting factor here, and so that is the reason the embryonic stem cell, the research of embryonic stem cell is limited. The second thing, the isolation of stem cell in the adult, or isolation of somatic stem cells. So as we have already seen this, the stem cells can reside in the brain, or it can reside in the heart or in the liver, and the most prominent source is the bone marrow. So if you want to isolate it from the brain or heart or liver or bone marrow, obviously then the protocol for the isolation of stem cell varies. It depends on what is the source. If you are isolating it from the liver or the heart or the bone marrow, then process of isolation, it depends on what is the source from where you are going to isolate. But importantly, you should note here is, whatever the source is, you have to identify that it is the stem cells, and stem cells can be identified by using proteins which is there. If you have studied plasma membrane, then you must have studied the intrinsic and extrinsic proteins, transmembrane proteins. So intrinsic and extrinsic protein, transmembrane protein, there are two types of protein called as TRA 160 and TRA 181. These two types of proteins are there, plasma membrane protein. These two types of protein is a signature of a stem cell. So whatever cell is having these two TRA 160 or TRA 181 on its membrane, we call it as a antigen. TRA 160 and TRA 181 antigen. So we identify this as a marker for the stem cell. So whatever the source may be, brain, heart, liver, we look for these antigens, that is a protein, and we isolate those cells using fluorescent activated cell sorter. This is this is one of the sophisticated instruments, the expensive instrument, and what it do, it tags this membrane protein with antibodies. This is the antibody, and this antibody is bounded to TRA 160 or TRA 180, and it identifies this association, which is this antibody is a fluorescent level, so we call it as a fluorescent activated cell sorter. So importantly, the basic thing is that you have billions of cells and you have thousands of diversity. So the cells in the solution, billion cells in the solution is there, and thousands of diverse cell is there in the same solution, and so you have to isolate the cells. So the cell which is having 160 to 160, 181 kind of antigen, so you have to use this one. This instrument will separate all the cells, all the billion cells and thousand cell diverse cells with the cell which is having these two antigens. So this flow cytometry is used to isolate, separate more appropriately the cells. Besides this, here the protocol is given afferences. The hematopoietic stem cell, because this is a procedure which is frequently done in kind of cancers, blood cancers. So what they did, the isolation of hematopoietic stem cell. The hematopoietic stem cell resides in the bone marrow. So this is the protocol. What they did, this process is called afferences. So afferences, the blood is drawn from one arm, and then that blood is sent. This is the inlet of this machine, and what this machine is doing is it is separating the cellular component of blood, and then it is the rest. This is the cellular component. So almost every cell which is there, it separates it into different bag, and the rest of the component, this machine is again putting the rest of component of blood back into the individual. So the blood is coming out from this, it is getting to the machine. This machine is separating the cellular component, and rest of the component, the cellular component is collected in this bag, and the rest it is again sent back to the individual. This process is called as afferences, which is very frequently done during the some kind of cancers, blood cancer especially. So that the cell, so that by this process here you can identify this. Here when you run this this sample into the fluorescent activated cell sorter, it will easily isolate the cells which is having TRA160 or TRA181, and then you culture it into the media. Same way, you culture it into the media. That media is having the amino acids, that media is having the microfactors, the cofactors, that media is having growth factors, the source of carbohydrate and balanced salt solution, the osmotic condition. It will maintain everything, it will provide everything, and that cells which is isolated by this process of apheresis will be cultured there. So this is how you can isolate the adult stem cells. Next is a culture of stem cells. As already explained, this is the Petri plate. Everything is done is in the sterilized environment, aseptic environment. So this is the Petri plate, and this Petri plate is having media. The media is a source of amino acid, the media is a source of carbohydrate, the media is having the salt solution which maintains the osmotic condition, then media is having growth factors, and media is having serum. One of the growth factor that we add is the serum. The serum, especially the bovine's serum, fetal FBS, fetal bovine serum. That serum, when you take out the blood, it is isolated from the blood of a fetal bovine, so that it is having all the growth factors. This growth factors which is not known, although it is having growth factor. So this amino acid, it provides this is a source of amino acid, so it provides the amino acid. That amino acid can be used by cell for the protein synthesis. Besides this carbohydrate which is there in the media is a source of energy to the cell. Then this is the salt concentration, it maintains the osmotic balance, and besides this, the micronutrients which is required by cell, and which is also required by enzymes to work appropriately. Besides this, the growth factor is there. The growth factor, it is the signaling molecule, it promotes the cell, it stimulates the cell to divide. So that is the growth factor, it is also there. And so this media is combination of all this, and besides this we add the phenol red. That phenol red is an indicator, and it indicates the pH of that particular media. So all these are the components of a media. Because pH is very important, we need to add a phenol red. That what is the action of phenol red, that we are going to see in the animal cell. So this is how the media is prepared. Everything is in the autoclaved, aseptic condition, sterile condition, because important thing here is this is the nutrient. So nutrient can easily catch the bacterial infection, fungal infection, and that is the reason every action during the synthesis is done into the equipment called as laminar hood. These laminar hoods provide a aseptic condition without any infectious agent. And so we prepare the media, we add this media. This pink color is nothing but a media. So the culturing of stem cells can be done by two processes. The first process is called as Fidder's cell layer. So you have synthesized the media, and then you add that media into this Petri dish, and what you do, you add a inactivated mouse embryonic fibroblast. So this is the fibroblast which is isolated from the mouse, and you culture those fibroblasts, and those fibroblasts is producing the colony here. Look at this. So first what you have done is you have synthesized or prepared the media, you have added that media into the Petri dish, and to that media you have added inactivated mouse embryonic fibroblast. As this media is a new source of nutrition, so those fibroblasts will grow and it will form a colony. Now what you have to do is you have to isolate the stem cells. So you cut this embryo. If you are isolating the embryonic stem cell, you cut this embryo here, you aspire these ICMs through a suction pressure, and you put that ICMs on above on above this fibroblast layer. What is the reason? The reason being, this fibroblast is 14 to 15 days old. This fibroblast will provide all the growth factors which is required by the ICM cells. So cell is growing above this embryonic fibroblast, and this layer of embryonic fibroblast is called as a feeders layer. In simple language, what this fibroblast is doing, it is helping the stem cells, ICM cells, to grow, right? So that is the reason this kind of culture is called as feeders layer. So what you have done, you have added the media, you have prepared the media, introduced all these components at appropriate concentration into the media, you have autoclaved it, you have steriled it, and in that you have added this media into the petri dish, to which you have added inactivated mouse embryonic fibroblast, and then on the top of that fibroblast you have put the stem cells so that the stem cells will grow, right? Besides this embryonic fibroblast, how it is inactivated? By exposing to the UV light or mitomycin C. So important thing, why we have added those fibroblasts? It will in simple language, it will assist the embryonic stem cells so that embryonic stem cells will grow. So you culture this, the cell will expand, and then you isolate the cells, and then once the cell is isolated, you can use it for the application. So this is feeders cell layer culture. The second is called as feeders free culture. So this is the feeders free culture, where we don't use the feeders, we use the media, and sometimes even we use what we call as we use the serum free or serum media. Here you can see the defined media is a serum free media, because we don't know the exact concentration of serum. FBS, we know surely it is having proteins and it is having growth factors, but then exactly 100% constituent of that serum is not known, and so that is the reason when we add this serum into the media, it becomes indefinite media, because we don't know the exact concentration of what is there. But then in defined media means you know each and every ingredient and its concentration. So the feeders free, important thing you should note here is, one is the feeders layer culture, where we use the embryonic fibroblast, and second one is the feeders free culture, where we don't use that. And besides this, the second very important point you should remember here is, media is formulated for stem cell culture. It contains the factor like leukemia inhibitory factors, bone morphogenetic protein to prevent the differentiation. This is most important thing, as we have defined the stem cell, which is a blank cell, undifferentiated cell, and when you culture this stem cells, you have to keep it in undifferentiated way, and for that you have to add some factors which prevents its differentiation. That is the most important thing. So these are the factors, the protein kinase inhibitors, which is a signaling like thiazolidine, basic, and besides this we add some factors like basic fibroblast growth factor, which stimulates the stem cell to divide. So important ingredient is, we have a media, that media is having almost everything which is required by cell, and besides this we add certain things, for example leukemia inhibitory factor, which prevents this stem cell to differentiate. And besides this, the third thing we add is the growth factors, which promotes the growth. So this is the feeders free. In this feeders free, we don't have the feeder cell layer above it. Last one is the application. One very good application here is the rheumatoid arthritis. The rheumatoid arthritis, what happens in rheumatoid arthritis? It is essentially the age of old age disease. So what happens in this, the antibodies are there. This is the antibody which our system is produced. The antibodies are protein, and these antibodies are fighting against antigen. These antibodies and this antigen get interacted and forms a visible complex. So when huge amount of antigen and antibody complex forms, and those complex get deposited here in the joint, especially the one which is shown here is a knee joint, and then the antigen antibody complex is deposited here, and that too in huge number. So what happens, it results into increase in the inflammation. So this antigen antibody complex is deposited here, which attracts the macrophages, another cells of immune system, which increases interleukin and results in the inflammation. And because of this, the tissue, the cartilaginous tissue which is here, is damaged by action of our own cells of immune system. Why? Because excessive antigen antibody complex is deposited here, which attracts the more cells of immune system, which causing the damage of this cartilage. And once this cartilage is damaged, again it further enhances the pain, the inflammation. And so how they have, this has already done. So what they have done is they have taken out the mesenchymal stem cells. This mesenchymal stem cell is isolated from the fat tissue. They have cultured it. So they have given here the fat tissue, the adipocytes. Then they have isolated this mesenchymal stem cells, and this mesenchymal stem cells they have injected into the joints. Now, as it is having the characteristics, the mesenchymal stem cells, important thing you should note here is the mesenchymal stem cells can differentiate into, you can call it as a multipotent stem cells. So when you inject this mesenchymal stem cells into the knee joint, then what happens, this mesenchymal stem cells get converted into the cartilage cells, and it will get converted into cartilage tissue, and what it will do is it will try to repair this cartilage here. And once the cartilage is repaired, it will reduces the inflammation. So tissue repair is one, especially the rheumatoid arthritis, is where we have successfully used the stem cells. So it repairs the cartilage and it reduces the inflammation, and this is how the life of this joint increased. So this is already done. This is the one application. Then we have different types of application. One which is very here you can see it is already done in the Bhopal, where the patient with a chronic obstructive pulmonary disease called as COPD is treated using, it is the first stem cell therapy performed in the Bhopal. Besides this, like I said, it is also used against the successfully against the diabetes. So this is the solution to huge problem, medical problems, like because the diabetes is very prevalent disease, the cancer is very prevalent disease, the rheumatoid arthritis is very prevalent disease. So this disease, the solution can be the stem cells. So here we complete the topic, and I hope you understand each and every aspects of this topic. If you have any queries, then please feel free to contact us. Besides this, I would like to give you homework. We have discussed one example of rheumatoid arthritis, the application of stem cells. I give you homework. You work out 3-4 more applications of stem cells. Thank you.